Yo, what's good, and welcome to another episode of Why They Rule. If you don't know Why They Rule is, it is a series, a season, a project where I talk to your favorite wrestlers, content creators, wrestling fans, and everybody in between about their favorite wrestlers, eras, things of that nature, and why those things rule. Today, I got a very, very, very special episode. It's been a blessing to do this because I love so many wrestlers that I just end up having a good time talking about all of them. We're talking about one of my favorites, the knockout artist, Khris Hero. And I'm joined by the one, the only, my homie, Dalt, Phoenix Nitro. How you doing, man?
Pop the top. Why They Rule is time for another one to drop. See,
Wow,
that's why I don't go off the top with my intro.
Yeah, I could tell that was rough. You know,
It's a little rocky.
Yeah, this ain't YouTube, buddy. You gotta to work on that one. Man.
I'm doing good though. How you doing?
Yeah,
I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah, we just came from the hammy.
Indeed.
I'll save this for the podcast episode, which may or may not be coming out this week. You'll never know, you know. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Chilling. You know, just ready to talk about my favorite wrestler in the history of all wrestling.
Oh, favorite. Okay, that's good. For the last few episodes, it hasn't been exact favorites. It's been like top 5, you know.
Really?
Yeah, you know, Meals' favorite isn't The Miz, you know. It's like, you know, it's The Rock, so I understand that. But I'm happy to talk about your favorite. So tell the people about yourself a little bit.
Well, I am Phoenix Nitro, aka Dalt. I'm part of a YouTube group called Vibe. You can find us VYBE on YouTube. I do WWE 2K content creation mainly. I also do a lot of Twitch streams where I watch wrestling. You can find me over at twitch.tv/Phoenix Nitro. And above all else, I just watch wrestling. It's pretty much all I do.
Yep, that is actually all he does. Like sometimes to a fault. Sometimes we'll just be chilling and having a fun time, and Dog be like, "Hey man, y'all doing?" I'm like, "No, we are not going to talk about wrestling right now." But I think one of the first things that we did bond over when we started talking, becoming friends, was our love for Khris Hero. So, when was the first time you actually saw Khris Hero wrestle?
So the first time I saw Khris Hero wrestle, it was around 2010, it was around 2010, I think, because I went to a FYE at the mall and I saw Samoa Joe and Kenta Kobashi on a cover of a Ring of Honor DVD. I bought that DVD, and while the Kings of Wrestling were not on that DVD, it made me find out about Ring of Honor, which then that Wednesday or Thursday, I forget what day, it was on HDNet. I actually saw Ring of Honor live. And it was, well, not live, but you get what I mean. And It was the Kings of Wrestling going up against the Briscoes. And that was the first time that I saw the Kings of Wrestling.
I think those ROH episodes on HDNet came out on Thursday.
Gotcha.
Because I remember buying some of them like on the PlayStation Store on like the next day on Friday. It was like the PlayStation Store. I didn't have HDNet, so that was the only place I could see it, and I had to see Khris Hero. So like you could buy the episodes for like $2.99, which is nuts, and you could just watch on your PSP or your PlayStation 3.
I don't remember how much it was on the 360 because it was all in Microsoft points, but I think it was like 500 Microsoft points or something like that.
Yeah,
because 1,200 was like $20 or something. So
that's a good deal. But yeah, that's how we were watching Ring of Honor back in the day. People now got your. I actually don't even. You know what? I'm not gonna get into that. I guess it's not on TV anymore. I didn't know what channel. Let's stop here. Let's not. Anyway, that's how we used to watch Ring of Honor. We just used to have to like. You could either catch an HDNet or you could go to the PlayStation Store. Like I think maybe iTunes had it too at the time, which is kind of nuts to think about now. What do you think drew you into him? Because that's a tag team match. There's 4 people in the ring. I'm sure he had a manager. I'm sure he had Sarah Del Rey at the time. I think I might have seen that episode. I might have bought that episode. I think I bought every episode that Khris Hero was on for those. But what drew you into him the most?
I think for me, when it came to starting off with that match, I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling. So seeing that match immediately, I was like, yo, these dudes just have like, there's not a swagger about them, I guess. Like Hero had the robe with the hood that just came off that he snapped around the neck.
Yeah, man, that shit was so awesome.
Bro, so icy. Not only that, but like their theme, the Kings of Wrestling theme, when it hit, it was unlike anything else at Ring of Honor at the time, especially on the HDNet era.
Yeah,
so I think that also helped me out.
Oh man, do you remember the dude's name who made that? It's Cody.
The Kings of Wrestling. It's
Cody.
Okay,
something.
so Kings of Wrestling. Yeah, the Kings of Wrestling one. It was also the dude that he worked with NXT. He did the Hero.
He did Ono's. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Also did He also did a SmackDown theme for
Mhm.
WWE too.
Yeah, he did. But I used to work at a hip hop publication, and one day he walks in there, and
Oh wow.
because it's been so long now, but like I was such a big Chris Hero fan that I remember his name. I remember what the dude looked like. I would
Cody
probably
Beware.
yeah, Cody Beware. Yeah, Cody Beware. Exactly. Yeah. And so I remember he walked into the publication. I was like, "Yo, that's fucking Cody Beware." And I was like, and this is a real publication where like real rappers come through. Like, you feel me? Like Nas worked there. Like Nas was my boss. And here I am, like, oh, this is the dude that made the King's Wrestling theme. Shit, bro. Oh my god, you Cody Beware, yo. I love King's Wrestling. I see you performing live at the Hammerstein, and I just remember him being like, "What the fuck?" Like, I don't think that's what he expected to that day in that fucking music room.
Bro, I think another thing too for me in terms of the actual wrestling, I had never like I mean, obviously when it comes to watching WWE, I had just like I said, started watching independent wrestling through that ROH DVD.
Hmm.
So I was brand new to watching the indies at that time. So WWE famously known for not really liking tag team wrestling that much. So you don't see as many combos as like you do on an independent level.
Yeah.
Seeing as many combos as Kings of Wrestling had, and they all had sweet names, and the name Kings of Wrestling alone already cool. Like, bro, the total package ruled.
Yeah, Lex Luger did rule, but I also agree. Fuck.
I thought
Uh,
of the same shit as I said it.
anyway, yeah, I think that's what draws you or drew me into him at first too. Was like it was everything. It was like the music was cool because when I got into it, was like I think we had all gotten into from that iconic Chris Hero music video,
Yeah.
which like the green and like the rainbow colored stripes coming that we recreated for the Tiger Driver Chris Hero playlist because it's one of my favorite music videos ever. And like the first time I saw this dude, he came out to custom music to Vyro the Virus, RIP to the GOAT.
R.I.P.
And like
R.I.P.
it was just so like, damn, this is so fire. Like the orchestra flip, the remix, like I feel like the music was such a big part of it. Like, and I guess at that time I don't think a lot of guys had custom music for on the indies.
No,
You know,
not at all. I
they
don't.
would use
Yeah.
like popular songs, and Hero used his own popular songs. But when he got that shit and we heard it, man, I was like, it's so fucking cool.
Absolutely. Like it goes for a lot where it's like I feel like a lot of people don't think about the entrances being as important as they should be, but like that's genuinely your first impression. If you're a brand new fan, that's the first time you see someone. And
True.
if you hear that music hit and then you see two dudes come out, one rip his fucking hood off and they both do the pose together, like come on, bro. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
man. Yeah, it just works. He's just always yeah. It's like we just get a patron. Hey man, hey Pizza Daddy, thank you for joining the $10 tier. That's if you're watching this live, that's for you. That's for you. Thank you for being a patron. Yeah, I mean, I also think I mean, you probably still know the lyrics to Chris is awesome, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yeah, Chris is awesome for sure. Kings of Wrestling, it gets a little spotty, but Chris is awesome for sure.
Yeah, and that's just like very few times I've gone to an indie show that someone back in the day at least, now it's kind of more common, but like people are one singing to the theme music, but they're
Yeah.
singing to a custom theme. And I mean, I'm talking about like his first show back after he got released for the first time. And it was like at an
Mhm.
Evolve show. So he had been gone for like 3 or 4 years, maybe, I don't know. And like everyone remembered the words, myself included. Like it was like, I think that's such a big part of why he seemed cool to a lot of people.
Wait, so okay, not to like fast forward or anything like that, but you just brought it up, so I have to ask. Did you go to that show against Gargano live?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cool. I hate
you have to
that.
understand.
I
You have to
hate that I was
understand,
yeah,
bro.
okay.
I think I might even have on my old Facebook account. Like, I was such a big Chris Hero fan that when he got released, I was like, I messaged him on Facebook, and he like messaged me back like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are." Da 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 da. Like, don't be crushed, but with a KH, like my fucking name, because I said
Oh,
I
that's
used to
so
spell my shit like my name on fucking forums used to be Chris Hero, but with a KH. And like I made sure to go to that first show in Brooklyn against Gargano. I remember I still have pictures from that show. Like I brought my camera to that show.
bro, that was like, oh man, that's so cool. That's why, like you said earlier, that was like one of the first things we really bonded on. Because like Hero is without a doubt my number one in wrestling. Like without a doubt, my favorite all time ever. So like when you told me that, like, yeah, you also love Hero as much, I was like, yeah, that's crazy, especially because you had the ability to go
Yeah.
to so many of those dope
Yeah.
moments and dope shows that he was at.
Yeah, because like I mean, we just left the Hammerstein like my first Ring of Honor show, or most of those Ring of Honor shows that I gone to the Hammerstein, he was on them. Like he was doing like the live Kings of Wrestling entrance.
Crazy.
I think it was like a four-way tag. Like I like yeah, I was there for a lot of that shit, and I was like, man, this is such a cool thing to be a part of and to see like from buying those episodes of HDNet to like going there to supporting him and seeing him on those shows is just like fucking super tight.
For sure. Like it goes a long way to like show how much you really support someone, especially like in that time where you see them come up and then you see them go to their dream and
Hmm.
then you see them come away from their dream, but then still do as good as they've ever done before.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Chris Hero match from that era, like on ROH HDNet, like pre him signing to the WWE?
So from pre signing to WWE, I think one of my favorite hero matches of all time. I kind of have a couple of different ones, like in terms of just eras, I guess. Punk and Hero at in IWA Mid South when they it's the last night at the barn. That one I feel like is very, very, very iconic just for a lot of different reasons. I think so that's
Is that the TLC match or the hour
Yep,
long one?
the
Okay.
TLC. Yep.
Yeah.
That one comes to mind a lot. The next thing that comes to my mind is Hero versus Danielson at ROH, but Hero wasn't with ROH.
He was
He
in
was
TCW.
yeah, he
Yeah.
still wasn't with ROH all the way, so they brought him in just for I forget the reasoning, but they brought him in just because of, I guess, timing and stuff, and they thought that it would be a big draw in Philly because he does CZW stuff. That one comes to mind.
I think at the time, I could be wrong. I think it was man, that actually it's the story's like on Wikipedia or something like that. It was either
Yeah,
a double header or they were like in the same town that night or something like that,
yeah.
and they just kind of mixed together.
Another one that comes to mind is I was really big on the World's Greatest Tag Team when they were in
Mhm.
WWE. So seeing Kings of Wrestling face them was really cool. Ring of Honor, I will say this. I think Chris Hero had great matches in Ring of Honor. I don't think his best work was ever in Ring of Honor for me.
That's
I think
interesting.
I always preferred his PWG run.
Okay.
And also I really liked a lot of his Shikara stuff. But
Yeah.
in PWG, I think that he had some absolute heaters. I know a lot of people kind of fell off from that title reign that he had, but I genuinely think that title reign produced some of his best matches in his career at that point, including the match against Danielson, where Danielson wins the belt before going to WWE. I also think a big match that's notable from there is the combination of the Tozawa versus Hero. First off, that ruled, and then I believe it was Kings of Wrestling versus Tozawa and Steen. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
if memory serves me
Yeah.
correct. That tag match also so good. So those are all the ones that come to mind pre him getting signed.
Yeah, I could actually see what you're talking about with his like non-Ring of Honor work being better. I just kind of take it as like Ring of Honor was kind of the place where he was like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it felt like Ring of Honor was a TV show at the
Yeah,
time. And
for
so
sure.
it kind of felt like I'm more like this is Chris Hero and not like this is like every amalgamation of him and Shakara and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's kind of a weird thing. But yeah, I get what you're saying because those PWG matches are like they're all so good. Like I have to go back and watch all of them. Like, but I remember going to every PWG preview video you could get your hands on at the time and be
yep.
like, I gotta see this, I gotta see this. Buying any I have PWG DVDs from 2004 and 2005 just because Chris Hero's on them. Uh fighting like, Chris Bosch or somebody like that. Like
Yep.
so yeah, I feel you on that.
All right, so let me ask you real quick, since we're talking about pre WWE Hero stuff,
Yeah.
and we're both super big on Hero. What was your favorite Hero look of that era? Did you like the baggy pants tank top, or were you more of a fan of when he went to trunks with the top, or just trunks after?
I think the trunks okay. So there's like I think there's a certain point, right? I think like if you're
Yeah,
talking like '03, where he has like the baggy stuff is too baggy. I think he really became super cool to me when he like got just trunks straight up. Like
yeah.
I love the trunks look, especially like, when he's like at that time he was like super cut and super, it just looked cool. Like with the red elbow pad, everything just looked cool there.
That red elbow pad was so dope, bro.
Yeah.
My I think like my favorite, I always go back and forth because to me in my brain when I close my eyes, I picture the yellow baggy pants with the hero going down the side with the black tank top that has the Superman logo on it. I think of that, and then I immediately think of the camo trunks with no top. I think of that immediately too, right after.
Yeah,
So
the
those usually
camo
go,
tights are probably my favorite pair, but also
yeah,
that black top with the yellow pants is also pretty iconic. That's the one that was
yeah,
always in, like, when you would download a car, that's one of
yep,
them. That was always the
yep.
first one. That or the
I
blue
think
and silver
I think that
pants.
was a big deal because of that being his fit during the CZW
Mhm.
ROH feud.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure,
sure.
yeah. I think, like, and also, like, like, at that time, those pictures aren't getting uploaded very often, but, like,
Yeah.
when you go on forums and stuff like that, those are the pictures that people would use, so those are the only reference pictures that people had. Like, in 2012 and 13, it was just, like, that one gear, so that gear is everywhere.
Yeah. I know, like, specifically, like, making graphics as a kid, it always bugged me that there was not more hero renders because it's like,
Mhm.
bro, like, just take a couple more pictures and get them posted, please.
Yeah, like, but also at the time, like, I as a kid that was doing all that stuff, no one was posting, like, pictures
Yeah.
of him. Like, I would go on, like, the Anarchy Championship Wrestling website, which is, like, that's where Ember Moon, when she was Athena, and, a hero would wrestle there, and they would do this thing where they would upload full, like, photo shoot sets of
Wow.
everyone on the show, and I would just peruse that, like, Mia Yim, Sarah Del Rey, like, just fucking high quality pictures of these people, and Chris Hero doing the elbow, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting every
That's
single thing here,"
crazy.
and they're somewhere on my old computer.
That's so wild.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was years ago, like, maybe 2000 I don't even know, dude. Long ass
Yeah, that's
time.
insane. I can't, like, especially thinking back at that era because, like, once I got like I said, like, I got into independent wrestling, like, around 2010, but, like, once I got into it, I was over everything. That's a
Mhm.
part of the reason why I only like, I get very obsessive when it comes to, like, watching things where I have to binge or I have to, like, specifically seek something out if I'm really that into it. Wrestling always was like that for me too. So when I discovered indie wrestling, I just dove headfirst in because while 2010 was when I first started, I went back and watched all of the PWG that I had missed. I watched pretty much all of the Ring of Honor that I had missed up until that point. Seeing the CZW ROH feud, getting all that lore and like figuring all of that out and why Hero came through and the way he did, why he wasn't used in Ring of Honor originally when Punk, Cabana, and all that crew was, etc. Like it was really, really a good time for like, maybe I should have focused more on school now that I think about it, but like
Yeah, you
at the
think so?
time,
I wonder.
who needed Spanish when you had Hero?
Yeah, what's hero in Spanish?
I failed twice,
Yeah,
so
well,
I don't know.
you just failed the third time, buddy.
uh,
So do you have a least favorite hero outfit since we were talking about our favorite ones?
all time?
Yeah. Or
Okay, this one.
or just something
Okay,
that you
wait.
don't really like, something you're just like, it's not really."
Yeah, actually, there is one, and it's very funny. It's this one. I don't like this gear. I don't like this gear. I really don't at all. And the reason why is because like I loved when he first came back to NXT and still was able to use his jerseys and like the I will never forget. This is probably one of my favorite gears of all time. The Chicago Bulls Ono flip
Yeah,
is
man.
so good.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, and then they made him stop using the sports and just do his own. And I'm like, I like it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like it's F
So
tier.
you so
Like
you
it's
don't like you don't hate the fit, you just hate the fact that it was like WWE eyes, like, it was like you can't do
yeah.
yeah, okay.
I also think, like, it's not like, it's just because of that, it's not memorable to me, and I
Mhm.
don't think it's up there. Like, even the white pants with the blue top, I think that still looks better than that, even though it probably doesn't in all reasons,
No,
but,
it
like,
does, it
just to me
does.
yeah, it's like, yeah, eh. I just wish they would have let him do his style still of, like, the Orlando Magic flip, the Chicago Bulls flip, the Kings flip, like, ugh,
Yeah, I think he had, like, I think he had a Suns flip too with, like, the purple.
yeah, the
That
Suns
that
flip was
one
dope.
that one was super dope. I know that's the case of, like, a bad attire because that's one of the people that when the games come out, people make those first. Like, when he was in
Yep.
these games, day one, everyone's like, I'm switching you. I will waste 2 cost slots to get a better Khris hero attire than the one that they put in the game, which was always that yellow one. It's just like,
Yep.
it's just not as cool.
It just I don't know, like I said, I don't hate it, but at the same time, it lacks creativity, I guess. And I don't wanna completely, like, dump on it or anything like that, but, like, it's just when you get something great and then you get that, it's like, well, I guess this is what we have to deal with now.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. Do you have any other, like, gears that you're like, I don't really care about this that much?
Imma be honest, I mean, outside of, like, his knockout artist, styling, attires from NXT when he had to switch to his own stuff, not really. I've
Okay.
always genuinely thought he had amazing gear. Now I can go on all day about the gears that I love from him, but, like,
Yeah,
the
go
bad
ahead.
gears,
Yeah.
not really.
Give me some of the
Gears that I love,
mm,
bro, the Chicago Bulls hero or Ono flip is probably my favorite
okay.
ever. I think that's so cool. I also really, really love because I'm huge on FCW. I really love that camo Ono fit where he had just a
Yeah.
big beard
Yeah,
and
massive beard. Yeah.
yeah, that
That's
look.
the render that we all had back in the day too.
Yep, that's the iconic look to me for,
Mhm.
like, for a hero when it comes to that, outside of the yellow and black. When it comes to, like, that era of look, I guess it would be the yellow and black too. I'm very, very, like, biased in terms of Kings of Wrestling looks. I
Okay.
really loved when anytime Hero wore the half black, half white jacket,
Mhm.
anything that was under it, golden. I always thought it was really cool.
Yeah, he had like the Masawa green tights under there.
Yep,
And like the I
yep,
think maybe it was a Noah flip that said hero and like the Noah
yep,
logo. Yeah. Yeah,
that
that
goes
gear is goated too. I think he was in like Japan with Colt at the time, maybe? I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
big in I think they were big in Japan, I
Yeah,
think.
okay, so then
Was
I think it was a Noah tour, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and then I think
was.
yeah, the Noah did, or he at least had that white and black jacket. And I remember all the pictures like, yeah, bro, the guy's in Japan. Let's go. This shit's gonna be heaters. I remember waiting weeks to get those matches on like
Nah,
Daily
for
Motion.
real.
It took forever.
I think they did a Ribera Steakhouse flip
Yeah, they
too
did.
during
Yeah, yeah. He has well, I guess this kind of relates to. He has a lot of flips and variations of his designs. Do you have a favorite Chris Hero T-shirt?
Oh, that's crazy. And I guess this kinda goes back to, like, the favorite looks. The first one that just popped into my head was the T-shirt that he did when he was feuding with Pentagon and Phoenix at AAW in Chicago.
Mhm.
There was, like, a really cool, it was like a Hiro Miedo,
Yeah,
type
it
shirt.
was like he was dressed like Pentagon, or his face was like
Yeah.
Pentagon. Yeah.
And it was so cool. Like, that look was really dope, and then that shirt was really, really cool. I could be misremembering, I can't remember if it was fan made or not, but there was I remember seeing a flip of the Hardy Boys whenever they did Hero in, his brother Hero whenever Matt was in AAW. I remember there was a T-shirt that I saw. I don't remember if it was fan made or not. It might be, but there was a cool, like, little Hardy Boys one that got flipped that I thought was really cool.
You have any least favorites?
I know my least favorite Hero shirt all time, Cassius Ono on WWEshop.com. Still bought it because I wanted to support Hero, but that shit was awful.
Yeah, you're a better man
That
than
was when they
me.
dropped, like
You
that's
are
like when they dropped
you're a better man than me, bro. And what was even the design of that?
it was like some box letter that just said Cassius Ono. That was it. And even Hero posted about it on Twitter and was like, "Yeah, I've had a lot of imaginative designs in my career, and while this one might not be, I mean, it's a first, so we still gotta support
I
it." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah,
I
I got it."
remember being like, I really would like to buy your only WWE shirt, but I'm not. I know I legitimately don't think I got that shirt, and I love that dude. I'm like, I'm not getting this shirt, man. I'm not doing it.
I don't think I ever wore it. I think I
Yeah.
bought it and then just folded it up.
That's what happened to me with the AEW Christian shirt. I was so hyped to see Christian. I was like, yeah, I went on Pro SD's, got the shirt, and I never wore it. Cause where the fuck am I gonna wear a shirt that says outwork
Yeah.
everyone? I can't even wear that shit to the gym, man. We go far to
You go
support
to
our
the gym wearing
faves.
a shirt, you get into a lift off with somebody.
Exactly. Oh, you're gonna outwork everybody, huh? No, bro, please. Not right now, man. Not now. That shirt is sitting in my basement right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much like how my Ono shirt was. I folded it up immediately, never wore it, and I was just like, I had to buy it just because
Yeah, I hope
had
you
to
enjoy
support.
the $3, man. She'll get from my purchase.
Yeah, that's for true.
I think at some time Pro Wrestling Tees around the time they also released like a Punk versus Hero 2 out of 3 falls like
Yeah,
style shirt. I love that shirt. I thought that shirt was so fucking
same.
cool. I also am a big fan of the Bizarro Superman logo, which is just a Chris Hero logo upside down in purple. I still have that.
Mhm.
And of course, he got the New York Knicks knockout artist one.
I love, like, how he flipped that, like, that was such a simple idea of just flipping that shirt with all the different colors. It
Yeah.
was a very cool, like, a very cool thing.
Yeah, he did a lot of just cool merchandise. Like honestly, like the superhero flips or the Superman flips are cool. Wu-Tang flips to me were cool.
Oh, the Wu-Tang shirt, so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
probably one of my favorites too.
I think he had brought that back for that first Evolve show.
Yeah.
How did you feel when he got signed?
Originally, like, the
The
first
first
time?
time, yeah.
I was very excited because from the looks of it, it looked like it was gonna be Kings of Wrestling that got signed,
Yeah.
and at that point in time, they hadn't really done anything like that, that I could remember anyways at that point, so and of course, I was very fresh into the indie scene, but, like, going back and learning all these different talents that came there, and stuff like that, but they had never really signed a tag team before, but obviously, that's not how it went because they debuted Claudio way before they debuted, Hero,
Oh,
but
baby, you know what you're forgetting? The pain. So what had actually happened is that there are rumors that they were both getting signed and all that shit, right? And
yeah.
so Claudio or Cesaro, ugh, I felt disgusting saying that. Cesaro got signed. We're all waiting, we're all waiting, we're all waiting, and then Hero never gets signed. He had never gotten signed. Like Claudio or Cesaro's in there for like
Yeah.
there, and he never gets signed because of like some like he doesn't pass a test because he has like advanced testosterone or something like that. I forget. And he just
Yeah.
never. He's like I think it's like an entire year, maybe. I don't remember. There's just a point where where Cesaro's just not there anymore. He's not on the Indies anymore, and Hero's just by himself. And I was just so bummed. And like at that point, I was like, it's never gonna happen. Like he passed up
Yeah.
on. It felt a lot like how I felt about Kevin Steen. I was like, oh, this is never gonna happen. Like if they were gonna sign you, then they would sign you. And then one day that motherfucker just showed up, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, let's go.
I remember very much, like and I guess it's because obviously, like, I'm a nut when it comes to, like, watching shoot interviews and stuff. I've
Mhm.
always been so disappointed that we can never see that tryout match they had because it was Kings of Wrestling versus the Usos, and apparently it's been, like, proclaimed as one of the best tryout matches, like, that they did at that time where they would bring the talent to the arena of, like, SmackDown or Raw and do it before the show, and I heard it was really, really good, and, like, I've always wanted to see that because, like, especially like around 2010, 2011. It was probably 2011. Around 2011 when the Usos were like really still doing a lot of like
High
crazy
flying,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that had to have been
The
good. Had to have
disgusting
been
thing
real good.
is, dude, is like there's one with that of the Young Bucks. Like they have one
Yep.
too. Like
Yep.
I can't imagine how many tag teams at that time because you got to remember at that time, American Wolves, the Young Bucks, the Bravado Brothers, Kings of Wrestling, the Briscoes. Like I think all those guys at one point or another had a fucking tryout, and they probably tried them out as tag teams, and you probably had so many heaters with probably just Usos, honestly. But like, god damn, man, I would kill to see those matches.
There's one like this has nothing to do with Hero, but there's one tryout match I've always wished I could get my hands on, and it was so Pac was already signed,
Mhm.
and as Pac was already there, when you remember I always fuck it up. Is it I can't remember if it's Masquerita Sagrada or Dorada for El
Dorada.
Torito.
Oh, Sagrada for El
Sagrada,
Torito.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the tryout match for Masquerita Sagrada is against Pac,
That's
and
nuts.
I want to see that so bad
That's
because
nuts.
Sagrada's amazing, like, as a wrestler, but that tryout matches like that, I always wish that we would've
Yeah.
got a chance. Like, even, like, with the network, when they first launched the network, I thought that would've been a great thing because they did the hidden gem section, but, like, if they would've just dropped tryouts for everybody that eventually got signed, that'd have been so cool.
Yeah, it's just completely unrelated, but, like, that's how I feel about SNL sometimes, like, they have the audition tapes for everybody that's ever auditioned there, and, like, they let them loose one time, like, they have audition tapes like Kevin Hart and, like, Donald Glover, and, like, all these people, like, "Oh, I wish you would just fucking just show these audition tapes," but, like, I
Yeah.
remember when that network came out and we were all hoping what was it? Tyler Black and CM Punk or Seth Rollins and Punk?
Yeah, it was Seth Rollins and Punk versus Ono and, Cesaro.
Yeah, like that. Like we had heard that. I remember reading it on Twitter that happened. I was like,
Yep.
"What the fuck is that going to be live on NXT?" No, it wasn't. Because NXT was at that time. That was when NXT was like on the network and on. I think it was just maybe a network exclusive.
Yeah, I think it was just a network in the US, and then overseas it was like on some overseas channels like
Yeah.
Fox and stuff
And I was like,
overseas.
"Oh, is it gonna be on there?" It wasn't on that shit, and you had to wait forever to see it, and I was like, "Oh, man, dude." Like,
Bro, like, speaking of that match, that goes to show, like, I was a nut for Chris Hero to the point where the day that that DVD released, the Best of NXT, it had that match on there as an extra. I went to Best Buy, bought that DVD, popped it into my laptop because I was traveling at the time, popped it into my laptop and watched that match at least 3 times before we got home. And it was like a 8-hour car ride. Like, that match was so cool because it's the only time they ever teamed the Kings of Wrestling up in developmental or WWE period. It's wild.
I'll never really understand why they didn't.
Yeah.
I kinda you get why. Has there ever been a tag team that I'm probably fucking forgetting so many, but, like, I'm trying to think of a tag team that, like, got signed together in the WWE.
I don't think ever. I mean, unless we're counting way back when, like back with like they would pull tag teams from the territories and
Yeah,
stuff,
and
like Shawn
not like
Michaels and
like,
Genetti.
I think maybe MSK is one of them, right?
That's the only one that I can think of as of late. And I mean, of course, now we got like grizzled young vets and like
Mhm.
teams that are like doing things outside that they bring in as like they're bringing independent talent in. But I mean, it doesn't count as them signing them, but them doing time splitters was really cool.
Yeah, so do you remember how it felt? I guess you kinda bum it out, but, like, as all good things come to an end that first time when he got released originally.
I remember waking up and seeing that he'd gotten released, and I was very, very devastated because it's
Mhm.
like, obviously, we had always heard about the rumors of the Shield and all of that stuff. That was
Yeah,
like that had become public knowledge and everything around that time. So then you just start wondering your brain around the what ifs. And like thinking back to that time frame of the WWE when he got released originally, I still genuinely think that he could have gone to the main roster and done some very unique things because he didn't really look too much like anyone else, and his style in ring was very different than anything they had currently on
for
the main
sure,
roster.
yeah.
And promo wise, he can hold his own. So like I always thought he could have. It never made sense to me that he never won at least one title in the WWE.
Mhm.
Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like how do you have that happen? Even in his later run, like how do you have that happen?
Yeah, and NXT, it was just man, he didn't even really have that many takeover matches either, did he? 1 or
No, like in the
2?
I I remember his I don't remember if it's his first takeover, but I was so excited that he was finally on takeover. And like this was when we
Oh,
were this was
yeah, I remember
when
showing that.
we were in the Vibe House, I believe, at that point, and in the very first Vibe House, and Brandon and Aaron are all hyped up for me too because they know that Hero's about to have one of his first takeover
Yep,
matches, and
I
they're gonna
remember
see
this
who react
now.
on
I remember
Impact.
this feeling. I remember this
And
feeling.
then he
Everyone on
gets
Twitter was like, "Oh my god, this is your time."
yep, and then he gets beat in 10 seconds or less. It's
Who beat him? Was it EC3 or, like
no, it was Riddle. It was the final flash knee. Yeah.
bums me out.
That's what because that's and then they ran the match back. Oh, like for the first episode back of NXT from that post of Takeover, or
Mhm.
like not the next episode, but the episode after that where they did like new tapings and they had like a 15-20 minute match. It was like, why? Why?
I remember, man. I remember being like, "This is your time." Yeah, I was like, "If you don't know, if y'all been talking shit about Catrizono, you're gonna see." And that boy got hit with a knee. I remember my friend sent me just. I remember it now so vividly. My DM notification like turning to one. This is when Twitter had notifications, DMs by the number, so you could see instead of just a dot to let you know that it was just kept going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's just him typing out LMFAO. Ah ha ha ha. That's your guy. That's your guy. I remember that shit, man. It was so. It feels so long ago because it kind of was. It's like 2016, right?
Yeah.
That fuck, and it feels like I can remember it like it's yesterday, but it was also 6 years ago.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, a lot of the choices that they did for him in NXT.
Mhm.
And it also doesn't make a lot of sense why, like, I'd always thought when they hired him back and brought him back in, whenever he came back and his name was still Cassius Ono, I was like, okay, well, maybe he didn't want to like give his like the rights to his name or anything like that. And then that's not it at all because in shoots that he's done since leaving, like he's talked about that when he got brought in or brought back, he thought until 3 seconds before he stepped out the curtain, they were going to call him Chris Hero and like he
Mhm.
was going to go by Hero now. and then they just went with Cassius instead.
Yeah,
And I was so bummed, bro, when he got fired the first time, because like he looked great at that point. There was no reason why.
And I remember like at that time that was when he had got brought back. That was like after, I don't know if it was after Joe, but it was like somebody, some people were just keeping their names, and it was like, oh, these guys are keeping their names, so he's gonna keep his name too, and it just didn't. I was like, oh, that's so weird. Why would you do that to him? Why are you doing this?
It was such a weird time where it was like, why like I get that you guys had lore with him already, but like if you're changing his entire thing up, giving him new music that kind of reflects his music on the indies, and then like you're referencing his independent work with all these guys that he's facing in NXT, why would you not just go ahead with that in itself? And it also annoyed me too, because we never got that match. We never got Nakamura versus Ono, and they teased that originally, and I'm like, bro, why?
There's just so much stuff with Hero in the WWE that's like, and it kind of sucks that we've been talking about it for this long, but like it bums us out, like, because there's so much stuff, like, because there were 2 opportunities of it, and then the second time was like, okay, man, you got Nakamura, you got Owens, you got Zayn, you got all these people, like you're essentially having Ring of Honor 2.0, and it was just like, yep, there's still no spot for you, and it's like, man, come on, like what's going on here? And has he wrestled since that second release?
No, he has not yet, sadly. And every time there's a mystery, Khris can attest to this. Anytime there's a mystery or
I've had
a
to tell him to stop.
surprise,
I've had to tell him to stop at this point. I forgot what we were watching, and he was like, "Oh, what if it's him?" And I was like, "You got to let it go, man. He's not coming back
bro,
anytime
even
soon."
at the hammy, I was delusional. I leaned over to J Rose and I was like, imagine FT, because it was it was while Homicide and Mox were in the ring. I was like, they got to go big for this reveal then. So like, imagine it's Punk and Hero. They were at the Hall of Fame, and then J Rose looked at me like he wanted to slap the shit out
Yeah, he
of
should
me.
have. What the fuck? You think Punk and Hero? Yeah, all right, man. Okay. Oh boy.
Bro,
Yeah.
and you know what kills me? He was supposed to face Jericho. That was a plan for fucking AEW. Like,
it's a hard life as Chris Hero fans. We get shit on, we get spit on. He's so great, and when there's something great that's happening, it seems like bad shit happens. You know, it seems like he just gets released, and now twice. Like, yeah, God, to bring him back, and then to bring him back all those years later, have him do whatever you want him to do, have him be just all these different characters that he tried, especially in like NXT UK and being the professor and all that stuff, and the wrestling genius, like, and having like vignettes and stuff, like where he talks about, like, he breaks down wrestling. I forgot what they were called, but they were like they were on like the WWE Twitter and shit like that, and on the YouTube. It's like, oh, this is cool, and then it's just nothing. It just bums me out so much.
I'll never forget. They posted a video with Ono like 3 days before one of the Royal Rumbles, and it was on the YouTube channel. They had never done, like, anytime they had done that years past, they would debut at the Rumble from NXT. So I'm like, yo, Hero's in the Rumble. There's no way Hero's not going to be in the Rumble this year. That dude never even showed up in a Rumble. Like, how do you not put him into any of those spots when you would bring out all these different NXT people? Like, they had Dabakato in the Rumble, but not Hero. Like, what?
It bums me out, man, because like there's so much stuff that he could have done. There's so much stuff that, like, man, so many feuds. Like, people don't understand how good Chris Hero versus Roman Reigns would be. They do not understand how good it would be to see Roman Reigns try to spear him and then get hit with a discus big boot, or to see like Hero try to do a goddamn rolling elbow into a spear. Like, there's so God, it bums me out. It makes me so sad, man.
It's also like another thing too of being a Chris Hero fan, where like, and I know, I'm sure you can attest to this. Like, I'm sure you've also gotten roasted by everybody because everyone's like, oh, he's just too big. Like, he doesn't have the aesthetic. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
good.
It was rough. Like, and it's, you know, what's really crazy is like, now, I guess, I don't really know how to say it. Like, back then, maybe what does that feel like, 3 or 4? I guess, God, I guess it's like 6 years now at this point. He was bigger, and that was when he would, like, you know, sometimes he'd wrestle without his top, like on like NXT house shows and stuff like that. He'd just wrestle like, you know, regular gear. And then I think at that time, like, maybe after he got released, he did like that match against Ishii in Was it Rev Pro?
Rev Pro, yeah, Rev Pro UK.
And like he's a bigger guy, right? Like his guts are hanging over a little bit, his hairy stomach, a bigger guy. Everyone's roasting him. And then if you look at how they want independent wrestlers to be now, they're like, oh man, you know, Beer City Bruiser and fucking the dude that's in AEW with why am I blanking? He's with Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth.
Oh, JD Drake.
Like they're hosses, and that's what people look back and like, oh, I wish wrestlers looked more like Vader and Stan Hansen. Fuck you. Dude was just a big guy, bro. He was just a bigger dude, and it added legitimacy. That dude made Ishii. I mean, Ishii's not the biggest guy in the world, but he made him look fucking not like a pit bull. He made him look like a baby. Made him like he literally looks over him, towers over him, beats the bricks out of him, outstrength. Like Chris Hero at that time when he was a bigger dude. He still moved.
Yep. He still had the finesse.
He still had everything.
Over handstand on the apron, lands on his feet on the ground, and would boot you. It was crazy.
It was like
he did all this cool stuff.
It didn't matter, bro. It was like people were like, oh, his cardio, whatever. Like, no, bro. He could wrestle the same match. He would do the exact same spots, the same athletic shit, and then he had the added ability of just being a hoss.
And it's not even the cardio. This is what always annoyed me. When people be like, oh, his cardio is not good. He had a 4-hour live match where do you remember that?
Yes, I remember. I remember.
There was a charity in Canada, I believe. I forget the name of the promotion.
I don't know. I don't think it was fighting. I don't know if it was Fighting Back or not, but it was definitely.
Was it a Smash Wrestling?
It was Smash. Yeah.
So Smash Wrestling did this thing where if you donated, if you got to a certain point, it would add another hour to Hero's match. Hero ended up wrestling like I think 4 to 5 hours. Mm-hmm. He wrestled straight against people, and it was so good. Like that's one of my favorite matches from that indie run that he had, because even though it was a gauntlet, it was so good and so different every single match, to the point where this dude is sweating like crazy, like on the mat. But he was still going wild and still going crazy and faced so many dope people. Every match felt unique. And I'm like, if you put anybody in that spot right now that you call your favorite, they can't do that. Like they can't. They don't. They're not going to be able to hold that like at all. That's a special gift and a special talent.
I think at some point he was like, they were calling him the gatekeeper of NXT, which I was so excited about. Yep. But like right before people started coming through NXT, he wasn't there anymore, and it bummed me out. It's just one of those things where it's like he's so cool and he was so good at it. Like he could work lucha style brawl. He could do crazy shit, and he should have gotten. I just think he should have gotten more opportunities, man. Like, and it just also bums me out that he doesn't wrestle anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's talked about it before on his podcast that like it's a pandemic thing, and he's waiting hopefully for things to clear up a little bit more so he feels more safe doing things. But like, fuck, man, at this point it seems like we're never gonna get another Hero match, and that bums me out so much, because there's such a good crop of talent right now that he could go up against. Like Hero and AJ Gray that'd be so good.
Hero against anyone in GCW would be so good. I mean, there's so many people in AEW that he'd beat. Man, dude, Hero versus Brody King, man. Like it'd
be so good.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments that I had last year in 2021 was I actually got to attend a 4-hour seminar with Chris Hero.
Yeah, I remember that.
On the side gig of the YouTube hustle, I do commentary for actual wrestling, and like also trained to be a manager and things of that nature. So I attended a Hero seminar, and that was one of the coolest experiences of my life, just getting to learn underneath him for 4 hours in that learning tree. Like it was so good. One of the nicest people I've ever met within the professional wrestling business as well. So cool. I was able to I was wearing my brainwash flip of the Miami Heat jersey, my pink brainwash jersey. And like, he commented on it and was like, yo, that's a really cool jersey. What's that from? And I was like, oh, that's my YouTube branding and stuff. He's like, oh, that's a really cool flip. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
Like,
that's looking sick. Yeah.
Like, stuff like that. Like I don't think people understand how influential either. I think another person that does not get this just due is Alex Shelley. I feel like Shelley's starting to finally, of how many people that he has influenced within professional wrestling. When Hero got signed the first time, everybody started doing his shit. Everybody that then popped off within the next 2 years all stole something from him. Whether it be, I'm not going to name this.
Yeah, don't name them, but I know exactly what you're talking about, but don't name them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So like there's certain people that started doing PWG stuff that like, it's just like, come on, bro. Like everybody from that era started doing that type of stuff. And it's like, Y'all ain't Chris Hero, and you're not gonna be Chris Hero. You
Everyone's
gotta
there
stop.
doing, it's like, what's the variation of the rolling elbow where it's the neck breaker into the rolling elbow? Is that the KTFO
Yeah, that's
or
the
is that the death
KTFO.
blow?
No, I think it depends because in whenever he was doing it, whenever he holds you and then spins you out into it, I believe that's the KTFO. But if he's holding you and then he just turns around and he does it to the back of the head, that's the death blow, I believe.
Okay, yeah. But like people started doing that. They started doing that. They started doing the pump kick, the spinning cycle kick. Like they started doing so much shit as soon as he gets on. Um and to the point that when he comes back, it's like it's almost a written feud. Like I remember like
Yeah,
him
it
fighting
was.
all these guys that are doing his moves now because they just straight up were doing it. Like everybody started wrestling like him.
Do you so speaking of Hero, one of the coolest things to me about Hero actually is like tag team wise, he has every tag team he's ever done, there's a new name. Like he has a
Mhm.
specific name for every tag team. He doesn't like doing just one-off tag teams or anything like that. He likes putting a branding behind it. And I was gonna ask, what is your favorite tag team name that Hero's had that's not Kings of Wrestling? I feel like for me, it's Heroes Eventually Die, which is his
Yeah,
tag team when he
him
was with
and
Tommy
Tommy
End
Yen,
or
yeah.
Malachi
That's what I
Black.
was gonna say, yeah. Because they also had good
Yeah.
merch at the time too.
Yeah.
And that was just super
I
fire.
I also thought the Death by Elbow team name was really cool.
Mhm.
And I also Big in Japan also was really cool, which we've already touched on. He just had so many cool names with when it comes to teaming with people and
Yeah.
stuff. So
He also had cool like I have Death by Elbow gym shorts, I think, somewhere like from back in the
yeah,
day. Like, yeah, I think he's such a good tag team wrestler, such a good stable mate, and stable member. And he's just such a good singles wrestler too. Like it blows my mind that there was nothing that they could find to do with that person.
and he's a phenomenal promo.
Yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
it's the Hero Regal feud from NXT
for real.
is I know everyone always talks about Moxley and
Mm,
Regal from FCW, rightfully so, amazing feud. But Regal and Heroes, the week in, week out of just him on commentary, studying, wanting to be like Regal, and then just being a vicious motherfucker and kicking Regal the way he did, like that match also so good.
So fucking
Probably one of my
fire.
favorite matches from that era.
It's such a good feud, and I wish
Yeah,
that's like the era of NXT before it's like super
super
NXT, and I think
yeah,
that gets lost in the shuffle. Like it gets lost in how cool that was to see like
yeah.
Chris Hero and William Regal. Like and even like the early era of NXT UK, the stuff that he was doing as the wrestling professor and like the wrestling genius and like trying to teach kids, the young kids over at NXT UK how to wrestle and stuff like that was just like just good shit.
He was the first one to bring the rounds match into NXT
Yeah,
UK. Now
yeah.
they have a whole title type thing for it, which it's like there's a lot of stuff where like and
You be watching NXT UK?
I no, 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 not since Hero left. Hero was the only reason why, but before that, no, or after that, no, 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 no. I mean, I'll be watching sometimes with Leah James on, but that's
All
it.
right, come on,
But
man.
so when it comes to like hero stuff too, I think another thing that really, really doesn't get talked about enough with Hero is the fact that like, bro, it's insane how good this dude is when it comes to re-identifying himself without really changing much,
Yeah,
if that makes
for
like
sure.
every era of Hero has felt significantly different while also having a thread that sticks a common theme
Mhm.
throughout his wrestling. Whether it be the stuff that he was doing in Ring of Honor with Sweeney, whether it be like the Chikara stuff he did with everybody in the Kings of Wrestling, whether it be his tag team stuff with Claudio, whether it be his singles run, whether it be his stuff in Japan, like it doesn't matter. It's all you're getting Chris Hero, but like there's an added element. And
Yeah.
once he started getting that young knockout kid, bro, it was
Mhm.
over from
It
over.
was a different level at that point. And I think that's where you're like super I think that's where everyone like maybe they'll view it as peak Chris Hero. I'm not sure. But for me that's like peak Chris Hero and then everything after is just kind of like a victory lap of just like yeah, you're just
Yeah,
next level as a talented performer.
for sure. He had a lot of great matches after his first release from WWE as well. Like
Mhm.
once he came back on the Indies,
Yeah,
I honestly think
I
like
think that's his best run maybe,
same. I think he had a
truthfully.
big chip on his shoulder because of
Yeah.
that, and, like,
There
there's a lot
wasn't
of
a
matches.
bad match that he
No,
had, like,
not at
and I
all.
watched a lot of those, and they were just heaters with, like and they were frequent, and there was so many of them, and it was like, "Yeah,
All
you got" and he got signed back again because he was fucking he was beating ass, he was incredible, man.
it always makes me wonder because I feel like it had to be a thing. he faced Ishii and then he faced Shibata at Rev Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those matches ruled. I'm pretty sure if he didn't sign back with WWE, I feel like he would have got the Jeff Cobb spot in New Japan that following
Yeah,
year.
that makes sense.
And if he would have, oh my God, bro. Especially at that time.
I remember
so
I remember when he got signed that second time. I was actually sad. I wasn't happy because
I
was
was hyped at first of the initial like, oh shit, but then I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, everything stops. Like this absolute fucking run of heaters is over, man. Like it was so good. There was just so much good shit that was happening at the time. And who knows where he would have been if he just didn't.
Sure.
I don't want to think about it. But yeah, let's talk more positively. Let's end this more on a positive note. You have a favorite Chris Hero finisher because he has a lot of things to put people away.
Fuck. Yeah, I mean, I think when he gets him up in the electric chair and he pushes him off and then to the back of the head,
yeah,
I think that's probably my favorite solo. I think honestly, him and Claudio, all of the KRSs are amazing to me.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Cesaro and Tyson started doing the KRS one.
Yeah, that made me super happy. Yeah,
so go. But yeah, those are probably all my favorites. Like I love pretty much everything he did because I love the psychology that he brought to wrestling. And it's some psychology that to this day I still very much believe in. And like I talk with Simply Better AM and my other roommate or my other vibe member BDE Brandon about everything. And like I explained to them, like psychology wise in wrestling, I very much look at the hero side of psychology where it doesn't matter how many times he hits you with the forearm / elbow. When he hits you with it, you're going to go down eventually. It doesn't matter if he hits you with it at the very beginning of the match, it could knock you out. It doesn't matter if he hits you in the middle of the match, it could knock you out. Or the end of the match, it could knock you out. Because no matter what, it can always clip you. And it's very much, from what I've heard him talk about, it's very much a mixed martial arts or a boxing style of thinking of any jab can knock you out in an actual fight. So why can't any move do the same thing? And seeing him bring that psychology into wrestling, into the stateside, which was not very actively done at that time. He got booed a lot early on when he started doing that young knockout kid stuff because people didn't like the fact that matches would end so sporadically. But then that became a big thing where it's like, nah, that's a really dope style and that's a really dope thing. And a lot of people started taking it.
Yeah, that era of him was really fun. And I think for me it was my favorite variation is like the kick to the back of the head and then bounces back up and then that shit is so cool. Like when I think they put that in the games, when they put that in the 2K games.
I believe they put it in because of O'Reilly, didn't they?
No, and they put it in because of him.
Oh yeah, because he was in 18.
Yeah, they put it in because of him. Yeah, O'Reilly has a different one. His was like I think there's like two. It doesn't matter. But like, yeah, I was like, man, that's such a cool to finally have those moves in the game.
That was my first match on 18.
Yeah, he was I was so excited. And fuck them for. I don't know why they made his stomach so weird when you take his shirt off. This is a 2K player issue. Everyone that has a top kind of has a scanned body for the most part. I guess like Big Show and Bray Wyatt, they have their tattoos, but for the most part, they just have a regular ass body. And so you can take their tops off and have them shirtless and be cool. For whatever reason, Chris Hero's got this weird like body that they decided to put on him, and it just doesn't look cool, like to have him wrestle in.
And you know what else is very annoying? This figure. If you take this top off, because it's a plastic top, if you take it off, the body mold that they use for the figure is a t-shirt body mold. So it's skin toned, but it's got wrinkles and shit on it. So like even on his one figure, and I never thought we'd ever get a hero figure from Mattel. Never thought. So I had to get this. I paid over $100 for this one figure. I do not care. But
you just threw it.
It made me.
You just threw the figure.
Well, yeah, it's on the bed. I mean, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not gonna damage it.
I was making sure because from what I can see on my screen, I paid $100 for this. I was really concerned. Like,
yeah, bro. Like body wise, they never got him right in the games nor the figure, and it's like, fuck, man. Like,
it's always something. Like, it's always something. Yeah. Why is it always something, man? Like, just fucking do right. But like, can Chris Hero fans have an okay time for once?
For real. I think like a positive note, like not to go back negative with it, but like a positive note with Hero is like, man, if I wasn't a Chris Hero fan, never would have watched Joshi, never would have watched the UK scene, never would have watched Japan, never would have watched any of these other scenes of wrestling because like he was so vocal and so like very, very much used every style of wrestling. And like seeing him do a lot of Skida spots, I was like, yo, who did that? So I would look up like who originated that move, and I'd be like, okay, I gotta watch some Skida. So then I'd watch Skida matches, or like when it came to like Masawa, that was my introduction to Masawa, was through Chris Hero.
For
As
sure,
crazy as it is, like, and then Noah, especially too, like all of Noah. When it comes to WXW out in Germany, Hero's the reason why I first watched that. There's a lot of different styles of wrestling I was introduced to because of that. And I got very deep into the UK scene because of Hero, like talking about Johnny Saint and stuff
Yeah.
of the World of Sport. Like
I think every
deep.
Chris Hero fan has watched it.
Yep.
Like at least 10 episodes of World of Sport. Like, yeah, this is what the guy says is good, and this is good. Like he did the same shit with like on Twitter. He would talk about Joshi wrestling, and we would get into that. Like he'd talk about just a bunch of other like independent wrestlers that weren't he's kind of a big inspiration for like why we do the match playlist, because I just remember him tweeting matches, and there were just matches I would watch, and it's like, oh man, having the ability to show people shit that they might not have been able to see and learning from it, it's just pretty cool. And like I remember very specifically like 2 o'clock in the morning, he would just post like a Johnny Saint match or some shit like that. I'm like, okay, let's watch this.
So do you have, this is a question I always ask people that really mess with Hero. Do you have the same issue that like I kind of run into, where it's like Hero's my favorite all time, but Eddie Kingston's also in my top 10 of all time? And then obviously there's that beef between them two. I don't know if they still have it or not. I don't think they do,
bro. I don't even know. I said it before, Eddie Kingston's the only person I could believe everything that comes out of his mouth. I don't know if he hates that man's guts. I don't know if they're cool or whatever. But they're like, because they even had a match like in 2015 and
they beat the fuck out of each other.
Where was
AIW.
it? Yeah, AIW. Yeah. The blue apron and shit. Yeah, it's AIW. And that match is fucking crazy, man. It's crazy.
Have you heard the story about that match? Before the match started, they were both standing in the gorilla position, and it was told by somebody else on a Kevin Steen show that they saw it like happening behind them. Eddie and Hero, like obviously it's professionalism when you get in the ring, but they slapped the shit out of each other right before the music hit, and they're like, all right, let's do this, after smacking the fuck out of each other. I'm like, that's crazy, bro.
That's fucking nuts.
That's crazy.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either, but I still love both of them dearly. I was going to ask you what your favorite Hero feud was, if you had one, because that was probably going to be mine, or his feud with Human Tornado. But you know,
it's very funny because those are both the first ones that come to my mind, and obviously we fuck the Human Tornado, but you know, it is what it is. That comes to mind. The Kings of Wrestling Briscoes feud come to mind for tag team feuds. I genuinely think that one of my favorite feuds all time with Hero has to be, without a doubt, King, just because of how much it kind of dates, because there is so much that goes into that without even being in the ring. There's so much that goes into it, and there's so much lore and everything like that to like learn about and like seek out. And then both of them are great in their own right, and when they come together, I genuinely think that's some of Hero's best matches ever. Same with King. I think they are each other's like destined opponents, in a sense of like anytime they have a match, it's always going to be must see.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the stuff with Kingston is like, it's always on the top of my mind. PWG, early PWG stuff with like Human Tornado over Candace. That stuff sticks out a lot. Briscoe feud in Ring of Honor with Claudio. There's just a lot of shit there. There's just so much stuff. Do you have any feuds that you're just like, I don't really care about this that much?
When it comes to feud wise, I never really liked feud wise a lot of his stuff in Chikara. I more preferred match by match and then promos. I didn't really prefer any of his like long-term feuds. I always much prefer Claudio's stuff when it came to that in Chikara rather than Hero. But I'd say that one, if I count this, but going back to best, but like the CZW ROH feud heavily featured him a lot, and he was a big bridge for that. So I mean, I'm going to include that too as an honorable mention. That whole feud was
of
really
not
dope.
liking it. Of liking it. Okay. Yeah. Oh my god, it's insane.
No. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. No. But yeah, like that I think was really good. An underrated feud, I think, that a lot of people don't talk about. I genuinely think that Hero's feud post first release, when he feuded with Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix out at AAW in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
I think that work is so good. He does such good stuff with them. It was so fun to watch, especially because that was kind of first year or two of Ray Phoenix and Pentagon being in the States. This
Yeah.
is like coming off of season 1 of Lucha Underground, so
Yeah.
like they're starting to get more indie work. And dude, it was so
It was crazy.
good.
It was a nutty time to be around. Man, God, wrestling. It feels like it was yesterday, but it was like 7, 8 years ago.
For real.
Jesus Christ. All right, I'm gonna give you a hard question here. You got to answer it within 5 seconds. This is the hardest thing for all Chris Hero fans. Chris is awesome or the Kings of Wrestling theme? Which one?
Chris is awesome.
Okay.
Version 1 as well.
With the more orchestral
Yeah.
or the
yeah.
which one? Is that the one with like the straight up
It's the one, but it was the one before he went to WWE. So the one that's more violins rather than
just the beatbox. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember when he added that verse. It's like, oh man, oh man, yeah. I agree. Chris is awesome over some people. No disrespect to Cody Beware. The Kings of Wrestling theme is such a hard theme. It's such a fire song. But
I will say this, and this might be a little controversial. I prefer the Ono Cody Beware theme over Kings of Wrestling.
That's insane. That's
I prefer it. I don't know why, but I prefer it, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I heard it so much while playing the game.
Yeah, that's definitely why, because you've heard it all the time in 2K18 and 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're crazy for that one, dude. That's pretty much it. I can't really. We just kind of talked about Chris Hero. And we kind of touched on all the questions that I want to talk about by accident. Like all the sheet of questions I had were eventually touched on. But just let the people know in a few short sentences why you think Chris Hero rules, or why you think Chris Hero is awesome.
At the end of the day, Chris Hero, without a doubt, can do any style of professional wrestling. He can do lucha. He can do hardcore if he wants to. He can do a technical-based match, just like a Zack Sabre Jr. He can do a brawling-based match. He could do any style that you want. On top of that, he's a phenomenal promo and a phenomenal agent within professional wrestling. So I think no matter what, Chris Hero is one of absolutely the most influential wrestlers of the past 2 decades, especially on the independent scene.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Tell the people who you are and where they can find you.
Once again, you can find me on all social media platforms at Phoenix Nitro. That's Phoenix, because a lot of people now use Fenix, but that's not me. So you can find me at Phoenix Nitro. You can also find me on the Vibe channel on YouTube, youtube.com/Vibehouse, VYBE, and then House. That's where my group channel is, alongside Simply Better AM and BDE. WB2K22 is coming up very soon, so a lot of that content is going to be popping. Make sure you go and check out all of that. But that's where you can find me. Chris, it's been wonderful being on. And if you ever do an Evie or a Dakota Kai episode, give me that call.
Hey, if I ever need an episode at the last minute because I spent all my time at the Hammerstein Ballroom, you're the first person I'm going to call, baby. Thank you, dog. I appreciate you.